Hey guys, and welcome to page 5 of my sketchpad. I want to start by saying this is going to be a little bit of a shorter video, probably about half the length of the previous ones, for a couple of reasons. Number one, I've not really had a chance to kind of sit down and record anything over the last week, been quite busy, so I apologise for that in advance. But second of all, the last video I've actually found really tough to talk for 20 minutes about what was happening in the video. I'm not the most talkative guy in the world. I tend to be quite a quiet, chilled out kind of guy sitting at the back of the room, listening to what everybody else has to say. So actually sitting down and talking for 20 minutes at a time I found really, really challenging. As a result, I think the commentary in the last video became quite garbled and wasn't particularly focused. So I'm hoping that by shortening the length of these videos and only doing the one page per episode, certainly for the time being, is going to make things not only easier on me, but should mean that the commentary is much more focused and more easier for you guys to listen to. That's the plan. That's my working theory anyway. I apologise if you can hear dogs barking in the background, by the way. There's not a lot I can do about that. So today in this video I decided to go with a different medium, one that I don't use all that often. I'm not totally comfortable with, so everything I do with them is a little bit of an experiment. These are Sepia pencils, or Sepia? I've never really known how to pronounce that. But this is a set I was given, I don't know how long ago, probably about 10, maybe 15 years ago. And they're from W.H. Smith's, and they come with a selection of different pencils of various types. So you can see I'm using 4 of them in this video. So if you look in the upper right of the sketchpad, there are 4 there. So the top left one is called Sepia Light, although it's actually quite dark. The one below that is a sanguine oil pencil, so that's got quite a light reddish brown, almost an orange to it. And the other 2, the top one I believe is a charcoal pencil. Oh no, the top one I think is the carbon pencil, and the one below that on the right is a charcoal pencil. So these are very flaky. I can't think of the correct word for that there. They're flaky, they crumble a lot, so they require fixing to the paper, and they're very difficult to sharpen as well. You can't use a conventional pencil sharpener with them. I have to use a knife, otherwise they just crumble to dust in the pencil sharpener, which is a bit of a pain, and something that I'm not so keen on. It's one of the reasons that I switched to a mechanical pencil, to avoid using pencil sharpeners. But with these, obviously I don't really have that option. And what I try and do with them is to work with the shadows of the character. So I'm not using construction lines like I might with other pictures. I don't tend to use construction lines anyway for a lot of my characters, but with these ones I have done less so. I tend to do a overall shape that I follow and then start working in the shadows of the characters. So I tend to start with the light sepia pencil and then move on to the sanguine oil. That's what I did with the first 2 anyway, is to move on to the sanguine oil and try and use that for the mid-tone areas after filling in the shadows, then go back to the shadows with the charcoal or the carbon pencil to try and add a little bit more detail to them. And it's quite effective. I don't know whether I'm using them correctly or not. It's like I say, it's not a medium that I'm used to yet. It's something that I'm interested in. I think that it creates quite a nice effect, quite a different style to the pictures, to what I would normally create. I don't know if I'm using them quite correctly, but I like the effect that I get. Here I've been playing a lot with female characters lately. Female face structure is something that I've never been totally comfortable with, and I'm getting better at the moment. So I've been using them to practice with things quite a lot, to try and get a lot more mileage out of them. I figure doing something that I'm less comfortable with is a good way of really practicing, especially with something that I'm not used to, trying to do something which is deliberately more complicated for me. Potentially might help me improve. I don't know. I'm probably clutching at straws when I say that. I don't really know. But I don't really like the effect that it had with these pencils. The end result of this female face I really wasn't happy with, so I very quickly went back to doing just the creature design and things after this. However, the one thing that I will note is that the sanguine oil pencil did create quite a nice effect on her jaw. Like, it's almost like a reflected light which has come up from somewhere, which I think worked quite well, and it's definitely something that I might try and play with a bit more in the future with these pencils. One thing to note that I did find out about them, the sanguine oil, if I laid that down first, was none of the other pencils would particularly lay over the top of it, so it was very final. If I put that on, I couldn't change it at all, whereas the other pencils I could very easily lay over the top. So with the next couple of sketches, what I decided to try and do was, rather than going from the sepia pencil onto the sanguine oil pencil, was to go the other way. And so I started with the sepia and went to the dark colours, so into the charcoals and the carbon, which had a different effect again. It was created a much darker overall character, which I quite liked, actually. It was a very different style, which I wasn't expecting. But with this character especially, you can see how I'm really focusing on working on the shadows to bring out the details, rather than actually going in constructing all the different parts straight up. And I quite like this character that I've come up with here. I don't know quite what he is. He's some sort of he's got pointy ears, some kind of a goblin-y creature. I don't know, a bit more human. I don't know what you would call him. I don't know. I really don't. But I was finding eyes particularly difficult with the pencils. They don't. They're not really good at defining different. I don't know what the word is. Different textures, I guess. And the skin was really nice, but the eyes just ended up, as soon as I started trying to fill in the eyes, they kind of blended into the skin too much. There wasn't any differentiation between them. You'll see that in a minute when I kind of go into this guy a bit more and start doing the eyes and such, and same in the next character after this one. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about with this video and the other videos in this series is, if you guys have any suggestions, things that you'd like to see me try out in the sketchbook, or any particular characters or things that I have drawn that you would like to see me try and focus more on, see if I can develop them any further, please do leave suggestions down in the comments below, because I do read all the comments which get left on all of my videos, and I try to reply to most of them. And I would love for this entire sketchbook to be more of a collaborative piece, so it's not just things that I'm drawing off the top of my head, as I have done with the last 4 pages, but if you guys see anything that I've done or have any suggestions or things that I might want to try, please do leave comments in the comments section below, and I will certainly read them at some point, and we'll hopefully get on and do that kind of thing in the future for you. Apologise for the mouse cursor in this section of the video as well. The way that I'm recording at the moment, I thought that I'd managed to get rid of this mouse cursor issue, but it has appeared in the last couple of videos, and I'm not entirely certain why. So I'm gonna be focusing on trying to get rid of that in the future. I don't know quite why, but I apologise for it. I know it was right in the way and very distracting. So once again with this guy, I started with the light sepia pencil. I say light, it's quite dark, and moved on to the the graphite and the charcoal to fill in the shadows, and then move back to the sepia, the sanguine oil. And as if you compare the last two sketches that I've done with the first two, then you can see that there's it's a lot darker overall as a result. And I quite like the two different effects. One of them, the top ones, feel more like they're out in the sun, whereas the second ones definitely feel like they're more in shadow. And it's quite interesting how just changing the order that I'm using the pencils has totally changed the aesthetic of the final sketch. So as I mentioned, I think at the beginning of the video, these pencils, they're very dusty, they're very, they fall apart very easily, so they do need fixing down on the paper with hairspray or some fixing spray if you have any, and I haven't. So what I tend to do in that situation is I have some 50 GSM layout paper. It's very thin, very thin paper, almost tracing paper, which I cut to the size of the page or the sketch, and then I stick down like a tab so it can open like a page in the book. I tend to just use some gummed paper, the same stuff that I use when I'm stretching paper for watercolors or whatever, and that works quite well as a temporary solution. Obviously it's not great if you're always flicking through the book and the pages are shifting against each other, because it will smudge, but like I say, as a temporary measure, it definitely is good until such time as you have some fixing spray. Anyway, I think that's it for this page. I hope you have enjoyed what I have done here. It's a very different medium for me than usual, and yeah, if you have any suggestions for future videos, please let me know, and I will catch you in the next one.